Yep, my name is Philip Colfox and I'm from Bridport Unitarian Chapel in the Garden. Currently going on in Bridport in terms of social action activities is supporting the mentally ill, people suffering from anxiety and depression. We've got two active peer support groups which are run in association with Dorset Mental Health, and we try and integrate people into our community from these peer support groups. So every week there's two separate support groups meeting. Plus, we also still do a little bit of work with the homeless people, which is mainly just in terms of allowing them to sleep overnight in the garden and being friendly and giving cups of tea to one or two regulars. The work with the homeless has been going on for a very long time, and it's just something that the older generation, people before I was involved, wanted to do. And I think it's part of social conscience. It's just sort of happened of helping people less fortunate than oneself. Support for the mental health people is a newer initiative, and that was something that happened out of a conversation that I had with a friend of mine who is a Dorset mental health nurse, who were trying to outsource some form of support for people with mental health issues so that they would help each other. And it's thought to be that getting people who have mental health issues to support each other is a much better way of really rationing very scarce resources, spinning out the money and dealing with what can be a very expensive problem of trying to nurse people back into good mental health. The great thing about Unitarianism is it doesn't tell you what you have to believe in order to live your life, and so it's the denomination that has the most possibility of being able to help people in a bad way. And for me, the purpose of my involvement with Unitarianism is to improve myself. And part of improving oneself is also helping other people. So part of the cure, if you're feeling particularly unwell, mentally or emotionally or spiritually, there's an immense amount of satisfaction to be gained and self-respect out of helping other people, and that, to some extent, that's part of the cure for people dealing with their own issues in life. So the purpose for me of a religion or Unitarianism or whatever it is to help people improve themselves, and so it's part and parcel of improving yourself is helping to improve other people. There's a very well-known Unitarian social action campaign being undertaken by the New Unity congregation in Islington to promote gay marriage, so that gay people can get married in churches. And it's been very successful, and I think they've shown us the way on what we ought to be doing. But I think that can be done not only on political issues like that, but also in dealing with poverty and other forms of human misery, which unfortunately the state has dipped their toe into that and muddied the waters and made it more difficult for volunteers. I think a centre for training Unitarians how to run social action programs is absolutely essential, and I think it would be extremely useful for Unitarians worldwide on how to run social action programs in their own local community. And I think that's absolutely enmeshed deeply and fundamentally into our raison d'etre, the reason why we do what we do. It's not just about singing hymns. The social action issue that we in Bridport could do with the most help on is homeless people. We have a homeless problem in that we're on the route for homeless people travelling around. They pop in to our garden and sleep and get drunk and fight each other and swear and shout. If we're not careful, we don't manage them properly. And we could really do with some professional help on how to do that. We need to appoint someone who will do that more or less full time. The personal opinion of Philip Colfox on how Unitarians could really up their game on social action is for a campaign to have a realistic programme for transferring responsibilities from the state to volunteer organisations. There was a half-hearted campaign initiative by the current government to do this called, what was it called? Anyone remember?
Big Society.
The Big Society. Yes. Yeah, I mean, everyone, I've even forgotten what it was called, but it was run by people that the civil servants did not understand it, whereas I think we Unitarians do understand how to do that. I think it's a fantastic opportunity and something we should grasp and go for at a high level. the other thing I'd like to say is that because Unitarians have very little intellectual, spiritual, dogmatic baggage, the field of social justice is ours for the taking. The state has taken it over for the last 100 years in Britain, and there's an appetite for it to be transferred back to organisations like ours. I think only ours and the Quakers have got enough flexibility to actually do the job.